How's that weather back east, man?
Are we pretty nice today?
Okay, okay. It's kind of dry here now. But we are now live. I want to appreciate everybody for coming on today. How's that weather back east, man?
Are we pretty nice today?
Okay, okay. It's kind of dry here now. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself on that end. But yeah, we definitely got it going now. So today on John G. Jones Research Loss number 147, as you can see, I have my good friend, Grandmaster Ray Edwards, and today we're going to be discussing the ancient free Moorish Rite and asking some questions in regards to it. And I know a lot of people are going to have some things to say, and you know, what about it? And so we're going to get into the discussion today. And he has some sisters on too. How the sisters doing today?
Good, thank you.
All right, all right. I just had a guest to pop in. I had
What's up, brothers? How y'all doing?
Peace.
Peace. I was gonna be listening tonight for the most part, but I'm here.
Peace, brother. Where you from?
This is past Grandmaster Diaz.
Oh man, listen. All I heard was the voice.
My bad. Hold on, let me turn the camera on.
You sound real smooth. Who talking?
Yeah. You know, I just finished doing my thing. Trolling the hell out of people all day. How you guys doing?
It's all well.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm gonna be in the background. I'm gonna just take a listen for a little bit. How you been? I see you got your event going on down in Florida.
Well, come on through.
Yeah, I gotta get my monies right. But yeah, I'm gonna try to see what I can do. I know it's gonna be a good time. I see how you do it.
Hey man, we got a good team. Did Tony mute himself or something?
I was muted. I'm back now. I don't know what was happening with that.
All right. Well, I'm here, fellas. I'm gonna be in the background for a little bit.
All right. Well, let's go ahead today. I'm gonna bring myself back up real quick. But yeah, I don't know what was happening with that, but I was off for a second. So Grandmaster, I missed it. If you was introducing yourself, I totally missed that. So do you?
No, I didn't. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ray Edwards. Brother Ray Edwards, first of all, Grandmaster, National Grandmaster of the Ancient Free Moorish Rite, dual jurisdiction. We're talking about dual jurisdiction. The dual jurisdiction, there's two jurisdictions in Ancient Free Moorish Rite. There's Ancient Free Moorish Rite proper, and there's Ancient Free Moorish Rite dual jurisdiction. The dual jurisdiction is for those of us that practice both sides of Masonry.
Okay.
So we refer to the brothers that on the other side, there are brothers just like anybody else, but they're Ancient Free Moorish Rite pretty much only. Some have more degrees, some don't. Some want more, and we're open to that too. Brother Alim El Day is the El Day of both.
Okay.
And we all work under the vision of the Avatar, Clifford E. Hazel Bay, the individual that reactivated the Ancient Free Moorish Rite. Also on this call, I have Deputy Grand Master, Brother Jalil. Brother Jalil is the reason why the Ancient Free Moorish Rite dual jurisdiction exists.
Okay.
We started this journey in 2014. I had an event in New Jersey, which you didn't come to, Tony. I ain't gonna tell nobody though. And we brought like 30 Grand Lodges together. And at that particular session, it was called the East Coast Masonic Summit. And, you know, it was a beautiful thing. Brother Jalil was very instrumental, in some of the brothers from New Jersey and a couple other places that received a degree. Myself, Deputy Grandmaster James Zimmerman from New York, Grandmaster Andre Jones from Texas, a lot of guys from New Jersey, but it was the beginning, man. It was a culmination of something really great and powerful that we did not know it was going to get to where it's at today.
Okay. Okay.
So I have some of my sisters from New Jersey and the brothers from New Jersey on here, other individuals. And, you know, pretty much, Brother Tony, this thing is more than just learning masonry. It's learning that we should all be acting on one accord as Masons and stars throughout the world. And people don't want to see it that way because they just can't get out their way when it comes to certain things. So we're here tonight to dispel any myths or misnomers regarding ancient free Moorish Rite dual jurisdiction and our connection with our brothers and sisters around the country.
Okay, so is the ancient free Moorish Rite, is that a regular Masonic, not even Masonic, but a regular organization per se?
You say regular, what do you mean?
I mean, to put regular on that, how's it structured?
Brother Jalil, you want to answer that?
Certainly. According to the ancient usages of Freemasonry, according to how the Europeans practiced regular, would be that there would be some type of lineage or connection to the European form of Masonry. So, in that regard, ancient free Moorish Rite Freemasons are not regular Freemasons. There's nothing regular about it.
I was, Brother Jamal, I was looking more so not from the European point of view, not at all.
Okay. Well, just I wanted to make sure that was clear, because just based off Masonic terminology, regular, irregular.
No. Let me have some clarity on that right now. When I ask in regards to regularity, I'm not looking for a European standard for regularity at all. Now you can go into it.
As far as our Constitution, we have been legally constituted by the Sovereign Grand Commander, most puissant sovereign past, he rest in peace, illustrious Clifford E. Hazel Bay, bringing the heritage back to our people. Our focus in this particular rite of Masonry is the true lineage, the true roots of what Freemasonry, where it all comes from. Ancient Free Moorish Rite takes you back to the connections of Kemet and those deeper sciences and esoteric knowledge and history. When it comes to Freemasonry, as the world sees it in general, pretty much whatever the world calls Freemasonry, that's what the people believe it is. But in fact, ancient free Moorish Rite is far removed from those stigmas or concepts. This is in fact our heritage. The degrees and the lessons and the lectures, the catechisms, everything comes from its very root as to the very spirit of what Freemasonry is. There is no question about its originality or its origin in regard to it having a esoteric connection to the creator, and it being established on this earth in order for our people to have its ties and its roots to who we truly are, what stock we come from. And it's not mere allegory as to biblical characters or lifestyles. In fact, it goes into the actual natural flesh and blood history of those characters in which traditional or orthodox Freemasonry speaks of, and goes into the roots as to who we are, where we come from, the tribes, the different nations, and so forth and so on, bringing the truth to it, standing on the truth, and giving absolute clarity as to the direction that Freemasonry was intended to go in, which is true and sincere brotherly love, in truth.
Okay. Okay. Well, that kind of breaks down a lot of things, you know, because a lot of people be having questions in regards to what it is. Is it something that they would probably want to be a part of? And going into that, what is the requirements to become part of the Moorish Rites?
Well, to be a part of the Moorish Rite, you have to be someone that's willing. But for the Ancient Free Moorish Rite, we try to attract brothers and sisters that are already Masons and Eastern Stars, because we're giving something to them that will help pretty much accent them.
Okay.
A lot of people thought we were in the process of trying to take away or substitute or nothing, but for the most part, a lot of the people that belong have become better students and studiers of Masonry and Eastern Stardom, because now they see things that they didn't see before. Things are pointed out that you didn't see, or that you didn't know where to look.
Okay.
Some of them been right in front of your face and you didn't know what it was. So it's like, oh, I always thought that. And they don't know, because we already know who the individuals were that carried this thing to us.
So my question would be, is it a religion, or can anybody of any religion be a part of this Moorish Rite?
Oh, it's the same thing like any traditional Mason. Like, you know, traditionally there were Moors that were Muslim. There were Moors that were Christian. That religion has nothing to do with it. Like when it comes to Moors, that's your heritage and your nationality. This has nothing pretty much to do with that.
Agreed.
So
go ahead.
So you know, for an individual to say, can I be a part of this? Absolutely, of course. Just like we have members in my Grand Lodge that are Muslim, Christian, Jewish, you know, and we have everything. So when we open a lodge, you have the Torah, you have the Bible, and you have the Quran.
Okay.
But it's open in the Bible, as all it says, book of law, not Bible.
Yeah, it says VSL, volume of sacred law. Absolutely. Greetings to everybody who's on the YouTube channel. Just want to say thank you for coming in. Brother Jordan, how you doing? Everyone, Carmen, how you doing? Appreciate you. Robert, what's going on with you? Those, just to mention a few names who are in it. What's going on, Brother Taylor? Hope everybody is doing fine as you kind of peep in as we talk about the Moorish rites, ancient free Moorish rites, and how that is connected with Freemasonry and how did that come about and those type of things. So my next question is, I think you've already answered that. Are women allowed to participate?
Oh, absolutely.
And how is that? Because you know, how is that? I'm gonna leave it at that. But how is that?
Well, this isn't like the Memphis rites, where they have women that are Masons. So we're not gonna get into that.
Right.
But we have sisters that come on or have joined that have really elevated themselves when it comes to understanding about what the Order of the Moorish Star, that's what it's called. It's the Order of Moorish Star.
Okay.
And see what's pretty much taught about in the Order of Moorish Star, that the women are a complement.
Okay.
Like, we need the women just as much as they need us. They're not here to be used and bagged on and stuff like that. They have just as much part to say as we do.
Gotcha.
But they learn through what the teachings are. I can be just as powerful as a woman by watching and helping you They're not saying nothing.
Yeah. So
If you want to ask one of the sisters, I have a couple
that's
sisters.
where I was going. That's why I was going. Can I have a sister to elaborate a little bit more for me?
I guess I'll start. Just to piggyback off of Brother Jaleel, yes, we definitely feel like we have a place here. We feel like with the Moorish Star, it is our right. We come in to compliment the man, just as Grant stated, but we come to bring an equal balance. Our heritage, you were talking about religion and culture. If you look at the culture and the religion today, it's always like a man is above a woman. But if you go back to our culture, to where the Moors were, you would realize that they complemented one another. They used each other. They brought a healthy balance. And it's easier when you have someone that you can turn to, such as your partner, that comes in and kind of fills in the areas where you're weak. And that's where we come in at. Without going into the full rite, we come in as the sales. We come in to make their work, their heavy load lighter, whether that be, in the home, whether it be in wisdom, whether it be through prayer, whether it be through encouragement. So where Grant was talking about how we feel like we've elevated and we've changed, once we come into knowing our rights, knowing our culture, knowing our history, it has changed us. We're not trying to be divided from our spouses or our mates. We're coming in to say, if we can work together, we can grow together, we can be fruitful, and we can multiply just as it was intended. I yield.
Oh, okay. I kind of like that. Anybody?
That's because your wife got a stiff left hook.
Anyway, anyways, does the other sister want to elaborate?
We got our associate grand matron. She's also a member, Sister Rivers. Can you talk?
You probably stepped away. I'm not for sure.
No, she there.
Oh, okay.
Can't talk.
Okay, she's at work. She can't talk. Sister
All
Keena,
right.
can you speak?
I'm here, Grant. I don't have much to say. Katie pretty covered.
All right. Well, hey, the sister definitely brought a lot to it. Is this a national thing or a local thing only?
Oh no, bro. We in about 12 states, easy.
Okay.
We trying to get to California when you act right.
You know what? We're gonna have to have that conversation because you said we're not gonna have.
You got the degree. You got the degree.
We're not gonna have that conversation here.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I got to talk to your grandmaster then.
What do you think ancient free Moorish rites do for Freemasonry? What does Freemasonry do for ancient free Moorish rites? How do they connect?
Well, Tony, let me tell you like this. You and I know both full and well, for years, Masons just can't get together because of jurisdictional situations, politics, just total distrust and dislike for people, right? So like now in Ancient Free Moorish Rite, we probably have a good 7 or 8 Supreme Councils that have members that belong to the Ancient Free Moorish Rite. So just like years ago, when they'll never give me and you the credit, but we were responsible for the John G. Jones 100-year reunion, right?
True.
So in that same particular scenario, we had this great event. We're supposed to bring all these congresses together, and nothing happened before that. This happened in Chicago. All these grandmasters came out. Boom, we supported the president general. Hey, man, let's get together. Let's bring. Nobody wanted to yield and let somebody else be the top guy. They couldn't sit down and come together and just say, okay, everybody like all of us, four or five, or how many of them was, to say, okay, let's just have a committee and bring this thing together, because the world would be very powerful if you could bring organizations together. But without doing it like that, what the Ancient Free Moorish Rite does is we deal with any particular organization and respect their organization first.
Well, that leads into this next question. Is this Ancient Free Moorish Rite part of the Moorish Science Temple?
Yo, this nigga's from California.
Hey, Terrence, could you mute your phone?
There you go. Go for it.
I didn't hear your question. I'm sorry.
I was asking, was this Moorish Rites connected to the Moorish Rite Science Temple?
Jalil, you handle that because you remember both.
Ancient Free Moorish Rite Freemasonry is not Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Divine and National Movement affiliated whatsoever. While we have members and practitioners of those respective rites that are members of Ancient Free Moorish Rite dual jurisdiction, as well as Ancient Free Moorish Rite proper, it is not that form of character. The character of Ancient Free Moorish Rite is a nautical character. We are seafaring masons, mariners. We go into deep esoteric understanding as to how these elements, these environments, these surroundings, these conditions have molded mankind, the lifestyle of mankind. We don't get into the spiritual aspects of it. We don't get into the birthright and the tone that Moorish Science Temple or the Moorish Divine National Movement and the like bodies get into. We are more focused on, and the degree work and the history is more rounded by the actual culture, heritage, histories, religions, business, government, if you will, of our people's true history. We don't get into bashing other ethnic groups. We don't get into bashing other governments. We don't get into bashing other organizations. We are more focused on the main charge, which is knowing thyself.
Okay.
Knowing thyself. And that would be the complete answer for that.
Okay, so my next question is going to lead into something like that, but is there any hazing in the Moorish Rites? Now, I'm gonna let you go ahead.
Well, I put it to you like this. You know, I think that's one of the biggest problems with why so many people kind of stray to the side, because we already know a lot of us been through a lot of stuff.
Right.
And we don't beat nobody's behind. We beat their head up.
Good point.
So the things that you will learn will this stuff you have to go through, but there ain't no, you know, we old school Masons. We know how we came up.
Right.
It's not the same.
Okay.
I would rather build the man's character and share with him different information that he understood or can understand and better help himself and his family than to tear him down, and so I can say I'm building him up.
Okay, so somebody posted a question real quick in regards to that. It said, did the Ancient Free Moorish Rites originate here in the U.S.?
No, it did not originate in the U.S. Ancient Free Moorish Rite originated in Africa. Continent of Africa. It was when Grandmaster Edwards spoke of the Avatar reestablishing Ancient Free Moorish Rite Freemasonry here in the United States. The Avatar reestablished it for purposes of bringing the truth to Masons who we considered as being lost into a heritage that was not their own. lost into an ideology that they could not truly identify with. Having said that, going kind of tying back the other matter too with the cards of birthright and so forth and so on. The hazing question, tying all of these things in. Hazing wasn't conducted inside of the European lodges. Hazing began when they started allegedly. When I say allegedly, I'm referring to what was told to the Moors, or what we would call Black Masons back then, as the process in order to make them Masons. So let's just go back to Prince Hall Masons. When they were initiated by the Europeans, those members were hazed. Those individuals were hazed. In fact, that's where the hazing began. You will not find, and I have definitely done research and spoke with those masters in England, in Ireland, Scotland. These masters have said that there's no hazing, has never been a history of hazing. And in fact, the ritual in which they are given more of a mental understanding of those people's rights and their bloodline, and given a whole original experience as to what makes them Masons. However, the hazing began in the sense of reminding the Negro their place, and then perpetuating that and leading them into continuing that tradition. And thus is the way we've been moving in traditional masonry on this soil. Proper initiation in an HP Moorish Rite orientation is not anything that causes physical harm, but rather it gives a physical identity and identification, a reference point that every member that is initiated, they will never forget that point in their life. The experience that they go through is something that is remarkable.
I would tell you this, based upon my own personal experience.
You ain't gonna never forget.
I'm not. I got some big old hands and they hurt. I ain't gonna even lie. However, the way that the lodge was set up, it was beautiful. I cannot lie about that. The way the lights came down, I cannot lie. I enjoyed the settings. I enjoyed the structure, how everything was done. I can't lie. The next question that I came across is there any degrees? Is there any higher levels in that? And if so, how does that go about?
Well, like anything else traditional, there are levels of teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning, first, second, third, fourth. There are levels of understanding because there's too much information and too many different ways for you to ingest it. It's, just like half these lodges run around here telling guys, oh, you're 32nd degree and you going from 4 to 32 in one day. There's 4 houses inside the Scottish Rite. There's no way you can obtain all that information in one day.
Agreed.
And for the most part, that happens in Anglo-Saxon lodges. And they just charge them a bunch of money and say, oh, now you're 32nd. You wave the magic wand because they paid them $1,000 or whatever the fee was, but they don't never instruct them. I've got guys that say they're this, that, and the other, and the third. Well, show me how to do this. Show me how to do that. Oh, man, I forgot. No, you didn't forget. You never knew. You're a sovereign commander. Tony.
Yeah.
But then you want to sit next to me in a room and claim you're going to be such. We forgot that part when we learned long time ago. Often tried, never denied.
Yeah, that is true. A lot of us have forgotten that. So is the ancient free Moorish Rite? This is a crazy question. Is it satanic? I mean, does it have an occult blend to it?
Damn, where you get these questions from?
Hey, bro.
No, but you know what? I'm not surprised because they asked that in traditional Masonry. Oh, y'all are cool. Come on, man.
Yeah, I was about to say, as in all.
Agreeable. Agreeable.
Brother Grave,
This
what
is
you
a
was gonna say?
diabolical concept.
Brother what you say, Brother Jal?
I
Jaleel?
said this is a diabolical concept. You understand? As in all uh places of Freemasonry as the world knows it today, the satanic appellation was given by those who are not Masons because of the secret meetings. They have no idea and understand of what the sacredness is that has to do with our secrecy.
Okay.
Nor will they find out unless they are duly qualified, well vouched for. You understand? They have to come and on their own free will and accord to get those answers, rather than go through that in fear of what the unknown is for them. Respectfully, the cowardice that prevents them from having the courage to step forward to learn these matters, or to come forward and offer themselves to such a prestigious and reverent, venerable institution. They would rather put a fearful statement like satanic involvement, rituals, and so forth and so on involved, when there's nothing, even in the Anglo-Saxon concept of Freemasonry, that has any of this involved. So that is something that has been attached or stigmatized to Freemasonry in general and in particular to those who are not involved in in Freemasonry particularly.
Give the business, Brother Jalil.
Go ahead, Brother Grave. What you was gonna say? Brother Graves, go ahead.
All I'm simply saying is Brother Jalil is giving the business right now. I agree with all that.
Okay. Okay. Well, my next question would be, does it has its own ritual?
Oh, I got to have this one. Let me ask you a question. I've been a Mason since 1988. I done had so many different rituals, but not one of them written by a black man.
Preach.
So now when you look at that ritual, you know a black man wrote that ritual. A black man is giving you the understanding and sharing with you your history for the purpose of your advancement. And it's not saying that we won't take white folks, because you got to understand, in Moorish history, there were white Moors and black Moors.
Now, see, you say that, you say that, but we know. I don't want to go there, but you say that, and I can appreciate the fact that you.
Were there white Egyptians and dark Egyptians?
I'm gonna appreciate that you said that, and I'm not disagreeing with you. However, based upon the legalities and based upon what we know today, and how things are treated when they're different, and when new things are introduced, knowing that Masonry is a progressive science, and anytime someone takes something or begin to elevate something that's already there, anytime someone begin to look at it from another point of view, based besides the point of view that's out there, you know, when you begin to make those directional changes and begin to set sail on something that's new, people tend to look at that differently. People tend to want to carve it up. People tend to want to put their feet on it, put their feet on the neck of something new, because it's like, no, I mean, what do you mean you're trying to change it? What do you mean this is part of this is not. Although Masonry is a progressive science, although we know it's supposed to change, what we know today as Freemasonry is not the same as it was long ago before the name became Freemasonry. Although you would hear people say, well, it's from the stonemasons. They took the trowel and they did this. It was so much more into this than it is totally unreal. It is just totally unreal. Go ahead, you can go now.
If you really look at the history and not my history, not ancient Moorish. Look at history itself. Look at the timelines when things were built by operative stonemasons in Egypt. Then if you look at when the castles for Dracula, London, and all of those places, Romania and all this, when they were built, you got to understand they took a concept that was given to them by our predecessors and ancestors, and they utilized it for their own glory. So the skills that we taught them, they took, and we can't say they stole it, because the Moors were a giving, teaching people. They shared this information with them. Now, how they abused it, that's what happened. People don't do no research on what really happened. Like the brother just posted, the Greeks and the Romans went to learn at Kemet and came back and took our stuff and put their name on it. Then people didn't even know about taking baths. It was against the law for them to take a bath. Like a lot of them now, it's against the law, seem like for them to take a bath, but they didn't take no baths. So where did they learn this thing? All these things, the Black Plague, all this stuff, where did it come from?
Right.
Uncleanliness. We were a clean people. Look at what they eat and look what we eat. We're eating things now that we would have never eat if we weren't connected with them, because they ate stuff from carcasses that lived in the caves or wherever they caught them at, and things that grew in the ground. We ate fresh leafy vegetables because we lived in an abundant place. So now you just imagine if, like, everybody watches Dr. Sabi's videos and stuff like that.
Right.
He's telling you the truth. If we just ate from what we're supposed to eat, it wouldn't be a problem. We wouldn't have all the sickness and disease that we had. So, I mean, you know, that stuff, that, like, sometimes we'll be on a Moorish Rite call, a Moorish Star call, and we'll start talking about something, and then something will come up. Bro, we drift off into a whole different cipher. And people learn so much more about stuff they didn't know. We talked about water one day for damn near 4 hours. Why it's so necessary for us, how it can kill us. It's essential and it's deadly at the same time. There's a yin and a yang in everything. There's a positive and negative in everything. So, and this is the key factor, Tony. When we're bringing people together through this thing, people are learning things and they're becoming more studious when it comes to the order. Like one time we had a conversation about the heroines, right? So the sisters did a research, and it was crazy because this is right around the time the Woman King came out. Oh, they jumped on that damn thing. They was loving it because she's actually one of the heroines.
Yeah.
See, there's 10 heroines in OMS and only 5 in OES.
Oh, that's a whole nother subject matter.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, the question is, since you brought that up, can the sister elaborate on that a little bit? Can she? I mean, you know.
Go.
Can she like throw a
Gadget
pebble in the
Rockstar.
water, you know? I'm asking, sis, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Just, you know, sweeten the teeth a little bit, you know, throw something out there. Come on, sis.
Sister Bridget can't talk. So
I'm sorry, what would you like us to bring?
Let's elaborate on Nefertiti, Kitty.
Okay. If you go back to, I hate to do this, but I'm going to go there. I would just put in a comment, you know, somebody was talking about people don't want to know something new. This isn't new. A lot of, if you go back and you look at the story of Nefertiti, and then you do a comparison of Nefertiti to Esther, you'll kind of get a gist of where we're coming from. When you go back and you realize that our heroines were here from the beginning, like if you go back, you see how she served the king and how her influence over the king and over his decisions enhanced a kingdom. You would find the same with Nefertiti. So I don't want to go in there because, like Grant said, this gets really deep. And when I say it gets really deep, now we're saying, okay, we're looking at the Bible versus our history. What was first? What is our true history? Why are we being controlled and by religion when it's our true religion? Why are we doing things outside of being able to heal ourselves through natural things versus, you know, through the pharmaceuticals, which end up making you sick in other ways? Like, it gets really deep, and you know, all I could say is possibly you could jump on one of the calls, but I don't want to confuse this because it gets really, really, really deep. Like you talked about the Woman King. When we watched the Woman King, we saw a lot of symbolism from our heritage and our heroines and our history and our culture. And it was like, wait a minute, we never get to see this. We don't learn about our culture. We don't learn about husbands and wives sticking together. We don't learn about not being divided. We don't learn about how we can heal our bodies. We don't learn that we should go to these women and they're not beneath, but they're equal to. You know, when you were sick, you went to, like my good friend would say, Big Mama, which we in our culture, I mean, in our culture, we call it Juri Uma. It means community mother. You know, you got your healing, you got your nurturing, even as a man. Remember, man came from woman, but then we nurtured, we helped raise you, we enlightened you, and then guess what? You governed as man. So we're learning those type of things. I'm gonna stop right there because I could keep going and going and going, but I yield.
No, don't yield. Is there another female that you can elaborate on? I mean, that's just one. I heard that was she.
As a heroine?
Yeah.
We have Shatsu. We have Maya. Where do you get the laws?
I'm gonna learn you this shit.
Somebody needs to mute themselves.
Okay. We understand that these laws that come to, you know, just bring about order versus chaos, and now how I was talking about a healthy balance, Maya is one of our heroines. You also get laws of Maya. Look at the Bible. Look at not even when I say look at the Bible, I don't just mean the 10 Commandments. Go back to their rituals. Go back to, you know, their jubilees and all the things that they do. We have to realize that in the Bible, those rituals weren't, or those commandments weren't just those 10 Commandments. There were many laws, and so, you know, you see, where did they come from? It's a lot. I'm gonna stop right there.
Okay. Anyone else want to elaborate on the Moorish Rite itself for those who are members? And there are some who are not members that are on here tonight. And if you have any questions, please be respectful in asking your questions. And I'm quite sure those who are on here tonight are very well qualified in answering those questions. So I want to start off with anyone who has any question that may be on the Zoom. And go ahead, you can ask your question. Just unmute yourself, ask your question, make sure you don't have a lot of noise in the background. Anybody? Okay, seeing that there's no one that's interested in asking a question, and you're sitting here on Zoom, what about those who are Moorish rites already? What is your opinion about being part of this particular rite that is blazing a new trail, that is setting new standards, that is out here doing something just a little bit different than what we're used to in the Freemasonry spectrum? Anybody? Don't be shy now. Well, I'll tell you what, let me go ahead and jump in, because it seems like some of y'all shy, and I've been in some groups with you, and I know that you have a lot to say. But however, I'm gonna jump in right now, because a few years ago, I was invited and I went through the process, and it was a beautiful process. It's definitely different than the Masonic journey that I went through. It's definitely different. And the water is cold, depends on where you at. And I had a great time learning and watching and being educated on what it is versus what it is not. And I kind of, in my own journey as a Freemason, I was able to tie them both together, looking at it from another perspective besides of that which was given to me in regards to Freemasonry. So in saying that, I was like, oh, okay, so I can take this part of the Moorish rites and say, from the wayfaring man, what was he, who was he, and what was his job? And then I can say, okay, so the Moors controlled the waters at that time. We all know this. This is not rocket science. So you can apply that to who they were at the time. Because the question was asked by the wayfaring man, hey, do you have permission? Where's your passport? Where are you trying to go? And if you knew who controls the waters, you can say, hey, this guy was this person, this type of person, you know. So that was my own particular experience. And I do know that there are a lot of study sessions going on. I do know that there's a ritual out there, and there's so much more that can be added to the enlightenment of what Freemasonry is versus what it is not. And I know a lot of people say, well, man, I don't want to. That's your thing. And I'm not mad at you. I can agree to disagree, but this is something that I did for myself because I wanted to know. And being invited to the table, it showed me, hey, look, we're going this direction. We're going to navigate this. We're going to set sail. So the language is a little bit more different, and it's dealing with the waters and how you set sails, and it's just different. It was different for me, and I'm still learning. There's a lot to learn, and that's the beauty of the Moorish rites, just as it is the beauty of Freemasonry, that there's so much more to learn when you begin to peel the onion back. Anyone else want to elaborate on that? Ismail, what you got? Brother Ismail Edwards, what you got?
So what I have is that with ancient free Moorish, right, we basically building ourselves to become who we actually really need to be in this world, abiding by laws, truth, morality. Water is indeed most important to us because we are made 90% or 80% of water. So when we are on land or in Gaia, traveling through different continents, then we see different things. We become more in tune with our true selves, or we really need to be.
Okay. Dr. Pitts, PhD 32nd, you was on the Zoom. You said, I got to get in there. Talk to me. Unmute yourself.
What questions you got for me, Brother Hawkins?
No, I need to hear your comments because you was like, you got to get me in. And so you in.
Yeah, I'm mainly here to just observe and ask questions. I'm listening right now.
Oh, okay. So you have no questions right now?
Not right now, but I will soon.
Okay, because when we get ready to go, I want nobody saying, oh, wait a minute. I see the sister got her hand.
It's Tony.
Yes.
Oh, no, you can take the sister's question first.
I see her hand was up. Oh, her hand is down. Go ahead, Grandmaster.
Do you guys teach any like story on creation, like where man came from or where we came from as a whole?
We good question, brother. And you know what? That's one of those conversations that we have, debates we have, loving arguments that we have. There's so many different things we've argued about whether the world was really flat. You know, there's a lot
I
of
was
things.
in that one.
And you know, and what it is we know we're all going to believe what we choose to believe, and some are going to believe differently what they were told, but it's all healthy debate, rhetoric, and conversation that's designed to help us think. So, you know, a lot of the conversation we have is just like, this is where we need to be as a people, because we always say search for more light, and nobody's doing any searching. They just want to sit back and listen to other folks. So, like, you know, some of the sisters get on there, you ask them a question, and one, like 2 weeks ago, question came up, about 10 of them, they all watching the original 10 Commandments to see what they could find that was related to the order, in any order, in this book. And we talking about the one with Charlton Heston, the old one. So my point is, they were willing to search for more information. And that's what's doing, is making people be sharper, pay attention, and look for more.
No, that's dope, brother. And I've just been listening, but I heard you guys speak on the Woman King, and I had just recently watched that. We sat down and watched. I watched it twice actually, and man, I mean,
bro, you got another 10 times
man.
to go. You gotta watch it 10 more times. You're gonna see.
I want to go watch it with my sister. I want to go watch it with my mama. I want to go watch it with my niece. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to see their reaction, because I know everybody's seen it, but I felt that movie in a different way.
Hold on, time out as you talk about that movie, because you know the kickback on the movie itself, and I know we're kind of going off a little bit, but the kickback on the movie itself is that, oh, they were the ones who actually stole slaves, and the movie is not portraying that. But that movie takes place years after they had realized, say, that's not what we want to do no more. We don't want to do that no more. So they made a U-turn and say, hey, we're not going to do this anymore. But when people started to look at the tribe itself and understand who they were, yeah, they was mighty warriors. Yeah, they did those things. But when they began to look at and see what was actually happening, then they said no. And people can't let that go. And
The
that's,
challenge,
You know,
go ahead.
Chris. I was going to say, I have to challenge you on that, because if you remember when he was sitting on his throne, he said, you know, his brother was one who stole slaves and sold his mother to the slaves. So it does touch on it a very little bit, but you have to pay attention. That's why Grant was saying, go back and watch it a few more times.
I agree.
It doesn't go into detail about it, but it does.
Yeah, it was dope. Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
you, sis. It was dope, and I don't really want to speak on it yet, like, because I want to do some deep digging. But from what I did gather and from what did resonate with me, it's one of those, you put it in the library and it's a family film now.
Well,
That's
if I
true.
can add anything into that, there's a movie that they put on Netflix, in Jenga, that gets deeper into it and actually goes right into how the Portuguese tried to force Christianity on these lands, conquering, manipulating other local tribes with money and gold and
Unfortunately, I know that history well. I'm Portuguese and African. I'm Cape Verdean, so that's why I didn't want to dig into it yet.
Yeah, that's how they come. But that's a good movie to watch. I mean, it's a movie nonetheless, but it definitely goes into a history. It's an action, not necessarily a movie. It's a docu-series of it, to where you have one talking. You have the actual last woman king narrating certain things, answering specific questions about the heritage, and going in depth into the circumstances, why the particular woman king made certain decisions, what compelled her, why did her brother do X, Y, and Z, and so forth and so on, why did he surrender or murder himself, and why did he kill his own sister's son in order to secure his own throne, and so forth and so on. Like our history with a lot of blemishes come from a lot of outside influences. And those outside influences remind me of one of the things that we teach in HFE Moorish Rite, is that there's always a higher influence. There's always a higher influence. You must be aware of those forces, seen and unseen. Our masonry gives you a true sense of self and a true awareness of the world, your life, your inhaling and your exhaling, your heartbeat. Your overall health is something of main concern here, because we realize that there are other factors and entities that exist with mankind. And there are those who are in denial of these matters. And the only reason why they're in denial of these matters is because they've been taught to believe that way. They've been taught to think that way. They've been force-fed it, or they've been fed it a certain way, and they lack the interest in understanding it. But when you're getting into Freemasonry, one of the biggest things was about us knowing our history and having that brotherhood that was so unique that it was able to grab the truth from wherever it was and keep it present and relevant for the people. I mentioned the other night on a call, speaking to the history of slaves in America. And I pointed out how important it was for us to know our history to the point where the last slave that stepped foot on, or off rather, the last slave ship lived at a time, was brought over in 1865, and his name was Cujo Lewis. And he was taken off of a very nice makeshift sailing vessel, strictly built to transport slaves, human bodies. And it was fashioned and chartered by a man by the name of Tom Mayer, Maher. And he enlisted a captain by the name of Thomas, whom obviously navigated and sailed this vessel. And this was a time where in Mobile, Alabama, or the state of Alabama, in that territory, any further slavery was punishable by death. So these individuals secretly were basically smuggling slaves from Africa and other local islands around the lower parts of the United States, and bringing them to Mobile, Alabama, and selling them off. And they scuttled their own vessel and burned it in an attempt to cover it up, in fear that they might find out that these Africans, or these Moors that they had on their territory or on their property, were in fact recently enslaved individuals and brought forth. But the reason what's relevant about this particular story I'm adding to you is the importance of that one slave, Cujo Lewis, who died, who lived his whole life every day thinking about home. And it was documented. He documented his own history to the point where he made it his business to teach the children, his descendants, those who came over with him and those who did not survive the trip. He taught them their heritage and remind them of their heritage and their history, their names, their religion. And then he instilled it to them to teach their children, so that their children will teach their children, to the point where in Africa Town in Alabama, this is the main and biggest fight they have there in preserving that history and keeping it known as to what was going on at that time, because the Myers family pretty much manipulated and destroyed a great particular tribe of people. However, what makes this relevant is the story that that Cujo would tell his children, a first-hand knowledge account of the encapturing, to the treatment, to how Moors were murdered and slaughtered and treated a certain way. He was able to see things that the Europeans were doing firsthand. And a sister that lived during his time, she was maybe in her 20s at the time, while he was in his 70s, was speaking of, or rather she documented everything in his dialect. And in his dialect, he spoke in a way that the average person probably wouldn't even understand unless you were a slave, a true blue slave. And the stories, as you read it, clears up a lot of the blank or missing points in history that has been taught to us about, one, slavery, and two, where a lot of the things that take place in America, mimicking across seas in our homeland or in our ancestors' land today. And the thing about Ancient Free Moorish Rite is that Ancient Free Moorish Rite gives you that history. You know, when you get into the in-depthness of the degrees, in our right, we don't deal with height in these degrees. We're talking about depth. The deeper you go in understanding your history, you start to answer a lot of questions or things that you used to wonder why things were this particular or that particular way, and it becomes very clear and abundant for you to know where we have come from and who stole who from what, or who stole what from who. And it's not the subject, or it's not the point, the talking point of who stole what, but rather what was stolen and how are we going to be able to regain it? How are we going to be able to recoup this? How will we recover from this damage and this harm? Because if you look at our people today, the human family has been destroyed, and the main family of the human race that has been destroyed, particularly on this soil, is the Moors family. That body of people, where fathers are destroyed mentally when they realized the beatings wasn't working anymore. As we became rebellious, they destroyed the mindset of the men, separating the men from the women, making the women become resentful and have reservations for the men, creating that wedge in between them further, such a distance that neither can trust each other. So now we have mothers raising their children by themselves with no father figure, no sense of order or justice, no sense of love or reverence, no type of form of respect for any truth about our people. But however, Ancient Free Moorish Rite gives you this reminder in depth that you might truly understand what this is here, what we truly came here to do. We are not interested in talking about who's clandestine or who's not regular or who's irregular or who's not can't tie their lineage or their charter or their warrant or their dispensation or whatever parchment you might want to mention, right? All the way back to England. What we focus on is what's most important to focus on: ourselves, our history, our family, our children, our wealth, our recovery, our mental health, our physical health, our social health, our economic health, our spiritual health and growth, the connection that we have with the Creator and our fellow man. This is what is the heartbeat of Ancient Free Moorish Rite. The women are the complement to the men. They complement the men because we teach that there must be unity there even when there's discourse, that there's supposed to be an open line of communication in a way that we're able to settle our differences, if not for anything else, but for the empowerment and the sanctity and security of our home and our children and our children's future and the future generations that come from us, that they might know their truth and never forget it. This is the kind of masonry we practice here. We don't practice just allegories and stories and fables and imaginatory things. What we talk about is the truth. We stand on the truth, not something that you can try to dispute or try to bring up in a conversation and say, well, you're not this and you're not that. And then I simply respond and ask you, well, what does that have to do with your truth? What does that have to do with Freemasonry? Doesn't that have everything to do with your own ego and pride? And do you not pride yourself as a house nigga, respectfully? Ooh. Do you not pride yourself as one sitting there protecting the master's in heritage or the slave master's concept of how the history and the truth is going to be? Do you not sit there and remind your so-called black brother, Moorish brother or sister of the evil that they have done to our people and how proud you are to wear that flag and run it this way and that way and do everything, and then get offended when I say such things like this and try to defend it?
Well, maybe they don't know how to protect. Maybe they don't know how to understand.
You got to be able to truly respect hearing the truth. I get into the psychology of it. You understand? I go into the psyche in such a way that the avatar instructed me to. I don't allow anyone to distract me or my instruction when it comes to the truth, because we deal into the judicial processes and the sensory processes of the brain, of the mind. We're going to get into the main function that allows us to make proper judgment or improper judgment. What ways are we able to receive information, not just by ear or by sight, but rather by the feeling and touchings of our hands and the ethers that is in the air that we inhale and exhale. We get into these deep things because this is how our people did things. I use one example while on the street giving charity to the members of our community up here in Essex County, how it was about to rain. I told them that when I was a child, my grandmother taught me how to know whether it was going to rain very hard or whether it was going to drizzle, just by the smell of the water in the air. And if you had a heavy saturated scent of dirt in the air that smelled like mud when it's wet, right? You knew that this rain was about to truly pour and it's time to get up out of it, right? Or to reach for cover. These are the things we get into. We get into a wholesome understanding of who we are, that we might know ourselves and that we might teach another how to introduce them to themselves. Know that it is okay to not be okay sometimes. Know that I might make you uncomfortable on purpose. But it's not that I make you uncomfortable, it's that your discomfort is caused by my truth having no shame in being present. And this is what we teach the brothers and the sisters to represent. You might have to be painfully truthful to an individual. You don't have to insult them, but you give them the truth as it is and let them do with it as they please. Ancient Free Moorish Rite is going to give you the truth about who you are and what Freemasonry really is there and what the tools of this particular profession, of this particular way of life is used for. If we're going to spread cement with a trowel, we're going to understand how important that is with a stonemason. But if we're going to make sure that the mortar and the wood that makes our vessel sail, that it swells properly, that it might float on that board, and that the sails are tied tight, and that those ropes that hold on to those tight represent the women and the men and how they bind themselves together. So when one sail is hitting from one side with the wind full, the other side expands and moves that vessel at a terrific speed. And that terrific speed keeps us all safe and sound while we travel and navigate. Any disharmony will cause division, right? And cause us to scuttle this vessel. For when I bring you the truth, know that the truth is sailing on a sailing vessel such as this. A man that speaks the truth, an amalgam of clay. Freeborn. Freeborn not because a legislation made me free, but rather that the Creator has given me a birthright to be free and to establish my truth as I am on my square. That's what Ancient Free Moorish Rite represents. That's what it teaches. It does not get into none of the foolishness and the mockeries and the disrespect of others. We get into it so that we might know our history, that we might know ourselves, that we might truly take good men and make them better, that we might take men who have been ruined and help them refine themselves, rebuild themselves, so that they may become good in their character, in their mindsets, and in their spirit. In a nutshell, Ancient Free Moorish Rite dual jurisdiction represents this, and we are the ones who are headlining it and pushing it forward, both the men and the women. And the brothers would be nothing without the sisters. And we love you dearly, and we thank you for your support and being there and believing in yourselves. Our brothers, I thank you for what I see. I take this time to say that the Avatar would be very, 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 very proud to see his vision come into fruition by good souls that have it so deeply embedded in their heart to bring it to the world that one day we might just see that thing float, a flag floating on the moon. I yield.
Okay, that was a lot. I'm not going to even lie. I can't, man. That right there brought the house down. And I'm going to say this because in the group chat, there was some things that was taking place. And I'm going to add to something you were saying real quick before I go into the next question that was asked. In Alabama, in regards to Cujo, I think I'm saying his name right, they did find the vessel. They found the vessel that he came, that last slave vessel was indeed found. And they are now working on restoring that vessel. I saw the documentary on that, and he clearly stated, and there's a diary of his writings in regards to who he was, where he came from. That is actually legit. I seen the documentary on it, and a white family tried to buy the land and tie it up so they can bury that which was belonging to that family. And so that's a pretty deep story about that gentleman, him being the last surviving slave on record, that they could pictures everything with him walking, everything. So that's something to really think about. But what I want to ask, someone asked if this was coming to Atlanta, if you were going to be able to come to Atlanta. Someone said Huckabee, Texas. They want to know if you was going to come to Huckabee, Texas.
Listen,
Go
let
ahead.
me
Already
put it
there.
like this. I've been
We
to
already
Texas.
there.
We've got 1, 2, 3 groups in Texas, and one of them that's doing the same old, nigga shit. Excuse my French. Just because you want to be empowered, don't want to, do what's right, want to destroy a black right, pretending that you got this. I gave it to you. Then you turn around and say, because you want to take your ball and run away and be less than courageous and start your own little thing, you're not going to get the proper information. I don't care who you follow. You did it wrong, and it'll always be said. I'm not going to mention your name. You know who I'm talking to. We don't got to do that. As far as Texas, Atlanta, you got a Jiraiya and an Osla. That's the name of a lodge, which is the name of the lodge. Osla is the name of a chapter. They have specific meanings. In Atlanta, been there. Supposed to talk to my good friend Melvin Little. Been months, but we're gonna work that out. Grandmaster Walter Williams and the brothers from what's Walt's Grand Lodge name? I'm sorry. They have a Jiraiya and an Osla. So we've been to Atlanta. We've been to Virginia, Chicago, Indiana, New Jersey, New York. Working on some stuff in Nevada. So it's there. If you're interested, you can reach out to me. My cell phone number is 973-392-9003. And we'll make some type of arrangements to try to make things work so that you can get an understanding of what's going on. And as soon as we're in a city near you, we'll bring it to you. But some of the stuff you're going to have to travel. Like, this ain't no degree you just going to sit at home and get. They call Masons traveling men, but they don't travel no more. So once again, I said my number is 973-392-9003. When this happens, you can get me interested. Respectfully, I'm going to have a conversation with your grandmaster to let him know that we're not trying to do anything to interfere with anybody's jurisdiction. If you're not an ancient free Moorish Rite, you can call me and I can direct you on that path too. I mean, if you're not a traditional Orthodox Mason, I can direct you on that path. But just reach out. I hope that answered that question.
Yeah, I put your name in there. I didn't put your phone number. I'm quite sure they can always rewind this and fast forward and get your information.
Hey, bro, the world is so small, you can find anybody.
That's true. That is so true. That is so true. So look, I don't really know how long we've been on here, but we've been on here for a minute. Oh yeah, we've been on definitely for a minute, about an hour and a half, thereabouts. So as we begin to wrap this up, for those who are on the Zoom, is there any questions you want to ask? Is there anything that you want to add before we begin to wrap this up? The floor is now open once again to anyone. All right.
Yeah, my internet has been fluctuating, so I've been in and out of the Zoom, but I've missed most of the dialogue. But how many degrees are in the ancient Moorish Rite?
You'll find out when you get the first one.
Yeah, there are many. There are many, but you will find out when you get the first one.
Just the facts, please. Just the facts. Any other questions?
Brother Muhammad, this is Stella Rogers from New Jersey.
Go for it, bro.
With the ancient Moorish Rite, dual jurisdiction, it has changed me dramatically, even though I am a traditional Mason. I believe in our history, the search of our history of who we are and where we come from. And with this, you will find facts and things that you will need to know about our history in this order.
What I got a question. Were you in Jersey when I was there?
Yes, I was, sir.
I figured that because my hand still hurts.
That's all right.
Well,
I'm
Tony,
glad we could splice together.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
you got to understand, Tony. He's clandestine. He's a Cowboy fan.
Well, hey, that's my type of brother right there. I'm a Cowboy fan. Watch your language.
That's why I said.
Yeah, let him know. Let him know.
So look, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. This has been great. This has been a great great dialogue. Oh, go ahead, Ismail.
I got one thing to add. Also, like, unless you're there, it helped me understand the word differently too. It helped me understand how deep and how depth the waters are, and that there's still some stuff that's unseen that even if we see it, we will not understand it. And not only that, but it is helping me understand how to crawl. It's helping me understand what exactly I need to do as a male and as a man. So
absolutely. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna call it a night because I mean this has been really fulfilling for me. I'm glad to have my dear friend. Yeah, I call him a friend. We agreed to disagree. He has cursed me out on several occasions, but we've never fell out. And that's my brother, Ray Edwards. I'm just gonna be honest with you. He's called me up and called me a few names, and we laugh at it. Am I lying, Ray?
Yeah, I called you that.
That's how you know he love you. Curse you out,
you ain't gonna never get the respect you're supposed to get with your 2 left feet having ass.
That's all right. That's
translation. I love you very much, brother. That's how he coming.
All right. Oh yeah. So the fellowship and the brotherly love is real when you can agree to disagree and keep it moving. It ain't personal. It's like, hey, bro, I think you should do this. Well, no, okay, when you go ahead. But afterwards, after I've told you, you'll find out for yourself. True words, I ain't gonna lie, true words. And I can go on and on about a lot of different things, but I've enjoyed this journey and what is offered to me. And for me, I've been able to kind of look at things differently and add to it. And we're gonna leave it at that tonight. And everybody who's on, please, if you're interested in more information regarding the Moorish Rites, Grandmaster Ray Edwards out of New Jersey is the guy to see and talk to and have that conversation with. He's left this number here. You may not see it in the chat, but if you play this back, he said it twice. So give him a call and have the conversation. So we look forward to the next time we're going to do this. And go ahead, say what?
Before you go, can I just say one last thing?
Go for it.
Won't be long. I want to make sure that it's understood and not misunderstood when I refer to traditional practices or brothers and sisters that still partake in those traditional practices. What I said was not meant to harm you. It might have hurt a little bit, but the truth hurt. What I said was to inspire you and to bring light to the mind. So you can see in those dark places you couldn't see before. What I said to you, what I shared with you, regardless of how abrasive it may have been, just know that it was the truth and it came from a sincere place of love. Because I'm tired of seeing my people suffering from embellished truth. Murky water, if you will. I don't want you drowning in that water anymore. I would rather you come to terms with yourself and no longer deny the truth, but rather absorb it, taste it, see that it is good, let it know that it is agreeable to all of your senses, that you might now benefit from it. Nothing I have said is directed to harm, disrespect, or discourage you, but rather to uplift you, enlighten you, and inspire you that you might do the right thing by yourself. So I don't want any Prince Hall Mason or Prince Hall Eastern Star or any other organization member whom hear me refer to these usages of the past by Orthodox practicing Moorish Masons or Black Masons to take offense, but rather take it in as a healing and a truth, an ointment that may be rubbed on that thing that has been ailing you. And if you might have been harming other people with the rhetoric that I was speaking about, if you might have harmed yourself and those who are dear to you, or people who may have admired you but now been pushed away because you have this misconception of how masonry is supposed to be brought, respectfully, I ask that you take a deep self-inspection and evaluate what you have been taught, what you have inculcated in yourself, and refine and reform. I yield. Thank you.
Tony,
Go ahead.
First, I'm glad he said he wouldn't be long. But that's my brother, my friend. He's the one directly responsible for the Ancient Free Moorish Rite dual jurisdiction existing. He's a member of Green Light Jiraiya. That was one of the founding organizations in Ancient Free Moorish Rite. But Jalil was the main person to help orchestrate the situation. And we met on a call arguing with Prince Hall. And it wasn't and that's just what happened. We're not talking bad.
No. Hear me clearly. It's not even that. It's not even that. I'm trying to detoxify myself right now. And when I say that, my counsel has informed me that, look, we are bigger than that. You bigger than that. So in knowing who you are, as we've just said tonight, we know who we are. Now it's time to set sail and move on to bigger things than that, into that mediocre talking where they draw you in and they put all of that on you, and now here you are kind of like this so and so here, taking you off your square, making you unlevel, making you unbalanced. And I even found myself having these discussions that was really useful. I mean, they just was totally unnecessary. But I did discover some truth. I'm going to end on this. When that white man came on and posted not long ago on one of my videos, I'm going to tell you exactly what he said, because I saved it. Because it was something that I kind of figured, but to actually to come out. And one of my brothers told me, he said, man, go to your page. Let's see what they wrote. And I'm gonna read what the brother said. He says, you are a racist who spread fake liberal agendas, still claiming systematic racism. He holds a racist, he holds high racists such as Louis Farrakhan is an honorable man. Go look through his channel. He follows and answers all the BS. So why he's spreading this false doctrine? He is a follower of the Nation of Islam. He's boiled down to himself to spread his lies and get regular. He said, to spread his lies, get regular. Freemasonry accepts black, don't accept black bogus Masons. When I seen that, that was enough said. It just really showed me the depth of some of them, period, bar none. So I can't waste my energy on something that's toxic like that, period. I can't do it. I can't do it. We can't do it. That's just, I read that, brother. I could have responded in such a way that would have made me feel good, but it would have brought some embarrassment by using certain words that would be unbecoming in a position for which I hold in my jurisdiction. Nah, I was like, I gotta let it go. That's me. And that's what my counsel told me to do. So nah, we good. We good. We know who we are. we know exactly who we are.
You know what's crazy, Tony?
What's that?
A lot of times, like I know some real, like in New Jersey, like it's only a few cats that be on that. For the most part, a lot of my sincere friends, and Barry can tell you, a lot of cats we know, they're PHA, and we, hey, bro, you Christian, I'm Baptist, you Baptist, I'm Methodist. It don't matter, and it's really, I hate to say it, but more so of the Southern thing than anything else. It's not really up here.
And I can agree with that. This person is called More Light Passmaster 457. You know, but anyway, I digress. I think we had a great dialogue, a great conversation, a great bill. And if you're interested in the Moorish Rites, please look for Grandmaster Raymond Edwards out of Jersey. He's really all over the place, to be honest. And I'm looking forward to seeing him, if all goes well for me on my end, in Houston coming up real soon. And we're going to have a great bill, a great time.
Oh, yeah, we definitely going to be there. That's my brother from another mother, Grandmaster Andre Jones, HB Turner Grand Lodge of Texas. We coming, and they gonna have Moorish Rite meeting there. Moorish Rite, you know, if you're in Texas, hey, that's your opportunity right then and there.
That's it. That's it. So
one of the brothers from Texas, when HB Turner was on here, brother Country, brother Everett, good brother. We you know, I'm gonna just say this. When we get on the calls, Tony, you know the calls, and you got sovereign commanders, grand masters, and I mean, there's so much love and fellowship on these calls, bro. We joke like high school kids. Yeah, we be on the call, we learn, we laugh. They talk about me, talk about I got a lead press on beard. You know, you talk about this dude's head. You know, we just really have fun with this masonry. You know, I see Brother Jalil, I call him Ahmed, the used camel salesman, and bro, we just enjoy each other. You know what I mean? And yeah, right. That's what we're supposed to be about, man. We can't continue to do it this way, and that's why the Ancient Free Moorish Rite dual jurisdiction is something that nobody can lay claim on but us.
That's it. That's true.
So now you can't say, well, this is this is that. Other organizations try to get it. There's been individuals that have tried to do it, and guess what? I expelled them. You're not going to do what you did. You're not going to pimp this out. You know, there's certain individuals that I will never, ever let in Ancient Free Moorish Rite, because I stand in the crow's nest for the whole organization and watch sure nobody gets on that ship unless they're worthily qualified or they got to walk the plank.
Ooh. With that being said, I want to say a hearty good night to everybody. And I hope that, as always, you was able to grab something out of this, that you was able to, like, let it sink in a little bit. We're going to come back and do something another time, another day. I got some brothers who wants to talk about John Wick, the John Wick movie, and how it had a heavy influence of Freemason within it. And that's going to be a good topic too. But until next time, I hope everybody have a great evening, a great night. God bless you. Remember this, we are not your steady